Hello, everybody. My name's Milan Starcic. Welcome to Freedom Rising, a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals on the journey to personal growth, lasting serenity, and freedom from addiction. Tune in and join the movement. Your journey to freedom starts here. We neither represent, promote, or demote any 12-step program or organization. We are merely souls on the path of recovery with the desire to expand our lives and experiences and share them with you. Hello, everybody.
What's up?
Welcome to the 76th Recovery Freedom Rising podcast. I'm Milan Starcic with co-hosts Andrew Norman and Mikey A. Today's topic is cohesion and inclusivity. Can you share what this means to you, Andrew, and why you're happy to discuss this here today?
I would love to, Milan. Good to see you boys this morning. Love you guys, man. It's bright and early. Got my coffee ready. So cohesiveness and inclusivity are while they are distinct. They are interconnected concepts from what I'm looking at here. And as I did more research on it, cohesiveness refers to the strength of a group's unity and ability to work together, while inclusivity focuses on creating and welcoming an equitable environment where everyone feels valued and can participate fully. So, guys, what are we doing in these meetings? You know, we're trying to create that cohesive and part of society, you know, because these people, you know, a lot of people come in here beat the fuck down. And we want to create an atmosphere that is conducive to somebody coming in here, whether you are high in our meetings or you're 50 years clean. We have to create an environment that brings them in and makes them feel at home. You know, we talk about this a lot. Like, home is not a place, it's a feeling. And so we create that feeling of home in these meetings, and it makes somebody feel a little bit more comfortable and able to come out of their skin a little bit and able to maybe hear what we're saying. And not only hear what we're saying, maybe act on a little bit of the suggestions that we're trying to give out in these meetings, because these meetings are saving lives. And every meeting has its own, you know, identity, and they're all here to help. Every single meeting is here to help. You know, I hear a lot of these people that will go to meetings and be like, I didn't like that meeting or whatever, but why don't you stay and put your influence on it? You know, no need to leave a meeting and go talk bad about a meeting. You know, all meetings are there to help. And it's being in a position to hear a message while you're in that meeting. You know, you can't be high and hear a message and try to get what we're trying to give you here. But then being able to be able to sit and sit on your hands and listen a little bit and take in a message and maybe hear something that you want, right? And that's what we're here. We're in these meetings, and that's what I did. Is I heard something I wanted initially, and I wanted something that these people had, and so I got a little uncomfortable, and it was only because I felt so a part of when I never felt a part of, right? I never felt a part of anything. And when I came into these meetings at first, and I would come back that next day or a day following, they would call me by my name. It would freak me out a little bit. It would freak me out a little bit that they actually remembered my name, and that they had something that thought I had something to offer their group. You know, it made me feel in part of their group, and I'd never been there before. So it was very important to me at the beginning that being a part of, because I feel like a lot of us use drugs to be a part of. You know, we don't know how any way else to be a part of other than that whole drug society, right? We're a part of it when it comes to drugs, and other than that, we didn't really have any. I didn't have any. I have nothing else in it. I had no skin in the game. Didn't have any drugs. So, with that being said, that kind of opens up the broader discussion, because this can go a lot of different ways, guys. Being cohesive and providing an inclusive environment, whether it's in your home, whether it's in your work, anything in or outside of these rooms, is something we can kind of expound on. So I'll pass that to you, Mikey. What does that mean to you, buddy?
Good morning, boys.
What's up?
And good morning, breakfast, brother.
Folks who like out there. This is this topic. I remember, man, when you guys sent me this topic, I was like, what the hell are we talking about here? Like, cohesion. I think cohesion, like sticky bond. You know what I mean? And then I'm a word nerd, so I looked, and it's basically unity, right? And the inclusivity is pretty simple too. But what's that look like in recovery and meetings and everything? And I automatically went to principles before personalities. I automatically went to like we don't shoot our wounded in here. I automatically went to, I gotta have that my hand out on that altruistic plane because like you just said it, man. I've heard people say like, oh, I don't like this meeting. And I remember the first time I ever said that, my sponsor was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, huh? I was like, I didn't like the meeting. He's like, let me give you a pro tip about it. He was like, every single reading we read in the beginning, if you just listen to those 7 readings, that's the meat and potatoes of everything. And if it don't apply, let it fly, right? And I remember hearing that, and I'm like, hmm. So, like for me, man, there's no such thing as a bad meeting. And like what Andrew just said, man, leave your influence on it. Come there, and like, you know, I know for me, man, it's important because it's what it was, man. I used drugs to just go into oblivion and just maybe not necessarily fit in, but just to be comfortable enough to where like I can be around people. And like you take that away from me, and I don't feel like I belong. And it's my responsibility as a productive member of the fellowship that I attend to try and be as loving, caring, and welcoming as possible, man. Ain't nothing fucking better than a good old fucking big fat kid hug. You know what I'm saying? Like to just show that love and spread that love. So it's cool, man, because like that cohesion, that unity piece of it is like it's important, man, because that's what I needed, that connection, right? And that inclusivity, that being a part of for me was huge. It was huge because I truly felt like the black sheep came home the first meeting I ever attended. And that was very important and very vital to my recovery, even today.
Boom. Look at Mr. Mike Drop. Ah, guys, you should be called Mike Droppa. It should be your last name.
Mikey Droppa.
Mikey Droppa. That's right. Um, so, cohesion for me, I looked it up just like Mikey, and, it's the principle of what sticks particles together. And I'm sure both of you guys are big Dolly Parton fans. And so Dolly Parton has a song called "The Coat of Many Colors," and
Healthy lungs.
I think of like the groups as these coats of many colors, where we're all these like old patches from shit that's worn out, but we get sewn together into this beautiful tapestry. That this girl, it's like her most precious item is this coat sewn from these scraps, and we are so different. Man, I was sitting in a meeting last night with like 11 people. It was just like the cross section. Like you couldn't try to pick a more random crew, but we were all there united. We were sticking together. Why? Because we all want to be straight. We all want to recover. And we proved that on our own, it doesn't work. Like we need the group and the program to remain together. And, I think that the principles, before personalities, that applies to maintain the strength of that cohesion. You know, I've had moments in my group where, man, somebody totally rubbed me the wrong way right when I was early on, and my sponsor was like, pray for him for 2 weeks. And man, if you've ever prayed for somebody that you're not liking for 2 weeks, that is a transformative experience. And unless you've really wholeheartedly done it, you will never understand the benefits of that. Because I was like, bullshit, I'm still going to not like blank. And then by the end of it, I'm just like, man, I can't wait to hug him next time, you know, and it's not that him and I are the best friends in that group now, but man, there certainly is a love there that I don't
I got
feel.
goosebumps. You talking
Yeah.
about that shit? I got goosebumps. You telling me that story right there? I
Yeah.
feel it. Prayer is so powerful, man.
And but like actually honestly praying for amazing things and happiness and joy for somebody that you're in conflict with. It's a real mental game changer. And, and for me, um, I am so glad that I had the sponsor that I did that told me to do that instead of just being like, oh, walk away, or whatever, like let it go. Like that wasn't it at all. It was more than let it go. It was like embrace that change, like we were just talking about before we started. And, inclusivity, inclusivity for the newcomer is one of it is like one of the cornerstones of what keeps people staying alive. Like having a greeter at a meeting, man. Like I went to a meeting that I was a bit dubious of, a local one the other week, and man, there was a guy who was whatever 11 months sober, and he was just like, but just pulled me right in and chatted with me and made me feel so welcome. And even if I didn't know any of the other 21 people there, it was like I had one friend. That inclusivity is super important. And it's not just in how we greet or say hi to people, but it's how we're behaving when they walk in. Are we creating that environment that is pro recovery? Are they seeing a recovery that they want? Are we demonstrating ourselves by living with principles in front of them? Because, like that whole attraction versus promotion, man, I walked into one meeting and there was an argument going on about financial matters. And I was like stunned and shocked. And this was like really early on, and I ran away. Like I ran away from that meeting. And I've since gone back and realized I just came in at the wrong moment. But that was my first example for it. Like you don't get another chance to make a first impression. And then there's one guy in my in-person meeting that I go to Monday nights. And man, this guy has like his share, and his share is all about that first moment of coming into a room and where he was at and how his experience inside the program changed. And, and it really, I realized, like, I'm like, at first I was like, man, that guy just repeats the same shit all the time. And I was like, that's kind of weird. And I didn't like it. And what I realized is, no, that guy is sacrificing his share to connect with that newcomer every single time. Like he's not trying to jerk off with his own like program masturbation of knowledge and quoting this and quoting that. Like he's like, hey man, I've been there, I've been scared, like welcome in. And I realized like he's doing the actual service, and the rest of us are just showing off what we've learned, kind of thing. And it was when I realized that I thought of him right away when we had this topic, actually, how he does that. And I'm going to leave that there. And maybe Andrew, you want to ask Mikey a question?
Absolutely. And I just want to hit on something you said that really brought something home for me, Milan. When you said that it's kind of like it's usually an OG or one of those guys that have been there a while and they say the same thing every single time. And when I was new, I used to get so pissed off. Like I would be so upset that guy would say he would like little weird things. And then I would go back to that meeting like a year later and I'd hear him saying the same shit. And now that it's come full circle, I appreciate those guys so much because it's the things that I say now. It's the things that they say every single day. There's one guy that comes in every single day and he says, thank God for sponsorship. The 12 steps to staying clean must come first. You know what I mean? And I want to thank God for allowing me to be in this moment with you guys. Like he says the same thing every time. And it's like, it hits home with me. I hear his voice all the time. And that's what he was doing, Milan, is he's promoting that inclusivity and that cohesiveness, because you're going to hear the same message every time from this gentleman. You know what to expect out of that guy. Very important to create that. Thank you for saying that, Milan. All right, Mikey. So what are some ways that you continue to bring cohesion and inclusivity to your groups and meetings that you're a part of? And why is that so important to you?
Well, I'm just gonna steal your super soaker full of love, and that's one of the best ways for me, man. I said it before, like principles before personalities. I need to remember because You know, both of you guys talked about it already, man. Like, I don't jive with every single person, right? I just don't. And that's okay, man. That's okay. And Milan was talking about it a little bit in the opening. There couldn't be a more different mix mash, like pish posh of people. And like, check it out, man. Like, it tells me that diversity is our greatest strength, right? So the best thing for me to do is just be honest. The best thing for me to do is just talk about how the program works in my life, what it does for me. The best part is to just level the playing field. There is nothing better than a good old me too, right? At least that's for me, man. I needed that identification piece. So I try to not hop on a soapbox when I'm in meetings. I try not to. Sometimes it happens, but you know, I'm just honest about this, right? And I need to remember too, even the people that I feel like are real difficult to deal with, because I'm sure we've all kind of seen this, like people coming in and just trashing the program that you love and that saves your life and does all that stuff, man. Like, I got to remember that, like, you know, their pain might be a little different and look a little different than mine, right? Like, they deserve this too. And I always tell myself, like, they deserve this too. And it's just, you know, I don't have to lash out at anybody, because at the end of the day, especially if I'm not sponsoring that person, it's not my place. I just tell you, like, listen, I love you. I've been where you're at. I've struggled too. Like, you know, just keep coming back, you know, and eventually things started to click for me too. So I just need to play my position, man. I don't need to walk around like I'm a reverend and throwing holy water on anybody and thumping people upside the head with my literature and anything like that, because like it took what it took for me too, man. Like, I got here and like I said, like, I found home, but there was that little piece in the back of my head that was like, are you guys really fucking not using drugs? Like, are you guys really, like, you guys are really this happy? Like, there's got to be something going on, you know?
They're
I'm
saying
so
there's a
grateful.
chance.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that like I was able to do that, because again, man, like it's the we part of this thing, man. I gotta be here for the next person because somebody was here for me, right? And somebody, you know, decades ago prayed for me to be able to find this place, and I was able to do that, and I gotta remember to be able to do the same thing, because like I love everybody. I love everybody. I don't need to like everybody, and that's the beautiful part, right? Like it's just it is what it is, man. And there's as long as I'm able to not just shut that person out, because I don't know, man. I don't know if anybody can relate to this, man. Like there's been the people that I don't jive with, and then they say some shit one day, and I'm like, oh wow, like that's pretty profound. Or oh wow, like maybe I should apply that. And it just kind of starts to let that stuff down in my brain. And I'm just grateful for it, man, because a beautiful piece to this puzzle that I don't have to take myself so seriously. And we're not all sick at the same time. And check it out. Sometimes that's me in there, and that's my pride, my ego, my judgments, just blocking the message. Because sometimes, man, my disease might know that you're gonna say something that's gonna take that little chink, put that little extra piece of chink in the armor, and I'm just like, oh, here's this fucking guy Andrew talking about his super soaker, like he's not this fucking loving. You know what I mean? And like that's where I gotta remember to just calm yourself, bud. Like
Who is
calm
this
your
guy? Who is this dude?
yeah, man. I really like this topic, boys, because it's like something that like doesn't get talked about a whole lot.
It's kind of like that in between. It's kind of like the in between that doesn't get talked about, because we can hit on all these points, but if we don't keep that in between conversation going, I mean, the whole shit is just it's not organized, right? All right, Milan, I'm asking you, young
I just want
man.
to say one thing. Thank you, Reverend Mikey Droppa.
Mikey Droppa, come on, man. So, what are some ways, Milan, that you continue to bring cohesion and inclusivity into your groups and into your meetings? that you're a part of, and why is that so important to you?
Okay, well, I think I'll try to start with the cohesion, and in the sense that, I try to keep an atmosphere of love and acceptance of people in the group. The surest way to not feel cohesion is to feel repelled. You know, and honestly, like, there's been one real conflict with me and someone else, and that's over now. Like, it's literally over. We hug and smile when we see each other, and there's nothing there now. And um, at my 1 year, I was accused of being too happy by 10 different people in their shares about me. And like, so if I'm bringing enough happiness, I'm getting almost insulted for it, then that's okay with me because I'm happy to be the smile you can't make today for yourself, you know? And so I try to make sure that, when I get to my in-person meeting, like, I'm the earliest because there's another meeting before it, and I go to that Dharma meeting for its meditation, and then it's like me and one guy from that set up all the chairs for 100 people. Um, so I'm sitting there when everybody walks in. And so as they're all coming in, I'm making sure that they're all getting a smile, a hug if they want it. They're getting asked how they're doing, and they're feeling part of. And if it's somebody new, I try to have a chat with them, like, just so they feel welcome, like I've been made to feel welcome. Like, I'm not necessarily like a designated greeter. I'm like the interior greeter. Like, if you snuck past the greeter while he was talking to someone, guess who's going to get you? That's right. I'll get you right there. And I make sure that I'm like whistling and whooping for everybody's, like, coins or fobs, depending which step shul program I'm at that day. I make a big deal about where they're at, so that they feel like, whoa, somebody out there's watching and loving and whatever, and when I learn someone's clean date, like someone I know, I put it in my calendar, so it's like a message I'm going to send out to them. So every year on repeat, so that it's like I see it and it's like, boom, hey man, like, like someone's birthday. And, I think I try to message people. I try to message people with messages of love, just so they're not feeling alone. And I would say that, yeah, that's probably where I'm at with that one.
Love you, Milan.
Love
That
you
was a
too.
great answer. So, yeah, obviously y'all know where I come from on the love lane, man. I'm the ambassador of love, if you will. So that love and humility piece is where I'm coming from at all times. People know what to expect when I show up in terms of what I bring to the table. But so you got cohesiveness. Cohesiveness describes the degree to which members of a group are attracted to each other and are motivated to stay in the group. And then you have inclusivity, which is specifically inclusivity means creating an environment where everyone feels welcome, respected, and valued, regardless of their background, identity, or characteristics. So that brings my mind back to our symbol, man. Our diversity is our strength. It's coming in and welcoming every kind, shape, form, color, religion, non-religion. We accept you. It doesn't matter what you are, who you are. We accept you, and we need you. And it speaks to the symbol where as we bring in people of all kinds, it allows the base of that structure to be broader. So as that base gets broader, right, what happens? The point of freedom becomes higher, and all of us in this program are at that point of freedom, right? Is if we're free, we are at that point of freedom. So the more people we bring in and the broader the base that we make this thing, the higher the point of freedom we can all be at, which is something that I feel every day. I'm sitting here talking about it, and it's like my body's taking on that structure. It's like, it's such an amazing thing when you really give yourself to this program and you actually understand what this thing can do to you. It's really, really a special thing. And so that symbol, guys, is on the first page of the basic text. It's the first thing that we read. Thank you for changing my name properly. I like that. I saw that. The love ambassador. Yeah, Reverend Mikey, mic dropper. Love you, man. Yeah. So that really speaks to how important we value the diversity here, right? We didn't put anything in front of the basic text before that symbol, right? That shows you how important diversity is here. Diversity is our strength, principles over personalities. It's the attraction rather than promotion. We want to promote an inclusive environment where unity is shown, right? You and I, unity begins with you and I, right? We can actually come in and have shared values with each other, right? And hold similar beliefs and goals. It allows us to build stronger relationships if we're providing an atmosphere of inclusivity. It allows Mikey. It allows me to meet you. Right. We have meeting makers. You came into meeting makers. You were like, what is going on here? Y'all can't get rid of me. Right. It was that inclusive environment that we created. And you've been here for a while, right? And you came in and you were like, what is this place? Right. You were like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'll be back tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. And you went right from there to like, that's your home group within a couple of weeks. It's an amazing thing when and that probably happened without you even knowing it. You weren't really even looking for anything, but God brought you to our meetings. And now you and I are like fucking have best friends, man. I talk to you almost on a daily basis, right? Like, it's just how this thing works, man. If we can create and foster that environment all the time, shit, it's endless opportunities in terms of who we can meet, what we can do for ourselves, the collaboration when you work with other people to come up with common objectives and common goals, and then you work towards them as a group, or at least have the group hold you accountable to your goals, and then you make those goals, bro. That's life-changing. It's life-changing. You talked about praying for people earlier, Milan. We pray as a group. We pray people into these rooms. Think about how many we pray in and we pray out. Prayer to prayer. That's 2 prayers every meeting that we put out there in the atmosphere, right? Because we're praying these people in. I was living up under a bridge, and one of them prayers scooped me up one time. I'm so grateful that one of those prayers scooped my ass up, right? Brought me on a magic carpet ride into the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, man, and got me clean. I'm clean for 3 years now, man. I didn't even know what color the walls were the first time I walked into a meeting. And now I'm clean, man, and I've got shit happening in my life that I never knew that was even possible for me, man. And so it's allowed me to build those stronger relationships. When we're in these meetings, what we're doing is we're trying to respect that diversity, promote equality, and encourage participation. Because what do we do when we participate, guys? Is we share. Honest sharing. Honest sharing is the antidote to our disease thinking. So we get on here, we share honest with each other. It allows our hearts to connect. It gets me out of my head, gets you out of your head, and then it gets us on that upward trajectory, right? We can stay clean 1 hour at a time, 2 hours at a time. We got 24-hour meetings going 24 hours a day. You can stay in there for a week if you want to and stay clean. It's really hard to use drugs in a meeting, Mikey. It's really fucking hard to use drugs in a meeting. So, get into a meeting, hear the message, and I'll pass that to you, Mikey. I guess we got a question for us, Mikey.
Mikey's got a question for me.
All right, let's see. He's the acceptance guy. So how have the spiritual principles of open-mindedness and acceptance helped you expand your idea of inclusivity inside the fellowship?
Okay, so I'm going to do a slight aside for a moment here because I always like to share my epiphany of the week. So 2 days ago, I'm driving along and it dawned on me that I had been taking the Serenity Prayer completely wrong. That I thought my acceptance would bring serenity. And I had a big conversation yesterday with my sponsor about this. And it's like all these traits and principles that I want don't come from without. They come from within. And so it's that I don't have to have acceptance to get serenity. I have to create serenity to have acceptance, to have my open-mindedness. So it's like getting my vessel ready to project versus getting my vessel ready to receive. And it's like, so getting myself through prayer and meditation and diet and sleep and everything, it's making this more serene.
Yeah.
I'm working on that. And so anyway, I'll answer that question now, but I really wanted to share that because I feel like I could have wasted my whole life looking at things in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And
that.
like I was almost crying with joy when I realized that. I know it might sound really small to anybody who got that right away, but to someone like me who didn't, it's
Yeah.
like I really enjoy my journey on this quest of growth and inside the program. I want to have like a profound realization. It means a lot to me because it's like, okay, this is where I can correct my course forever and feel solid in it. Like we're not lacking honesty and open-mindedness and acceptance. We got it there. We just have to get ourselves in the state that we are allowed to share it. And I think
Thank you for
that's
collaborating with us, man. That was beautiful. See how I use the word collaboration in there?
That was beautiful.
Boom. Well,
That's what we
because
need,
we've
man.
got cohesion on this meeting right now. And to anybody out there, I would like to have some inclusivity that like this is, I'm not saying this to try and sound smarter than you. I'm saying this because I felt like I was a fool and now I learned something and I want to share it with you. So I'm trying to include you in my knowledge base, not baffle you with bullshit.
Fool with no tools.
That's right, a fool with no tools. So open-mindedness and acceptance. Like, first of all, in my addiction, I felt like I fucking knew it all. I knew it all. And my mind really wasn't that open to other people's attitudes, to other people's personalities in a lot of circumstances. And my tolerance level was down for people if they weren't fulfilling my expectations. So, coming into the program, I was desperate for a new way. And, I remember hearing this a million times. You only got to change one thing, everything. And guess what? It's like, man, I feel like it's everything times two sometimes. Because it's like, not only do I got to that old skin, I got to grow a whole different one. So it's almost like a two-stage process. And so, just being open to actually, instead of running away, staying and working out shit to maintain that cohesion and inclusivity. Like my instinct before was like, fuck it and run. Like if I didn't like you, you were out. You were out, and I wasn't working on our relationship or myself to establish a relationship. And man, like, do I like everybody in all my groups? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I like the groups and I want what's best for the groups. Because I know that without those groups being there, I wouldn't be here right now. Like that, the whole, like, what is it there? Depends on group unity. Like personal recovery depends on group unity, right? And that's really what it is that like, we're not going to be straight if those groups don't exist. If there isn't that process of groups coming together and having these meetings and meeting sponsors and people passing down the knowledge, this program dies, and so do we. And, and I feel like, when they're like, for the first time in man's history, we have a way to survive. Like, and it's true, but it does depend on us setting our bullshit aside, So I feel like that open-mindedness for a new way is been essential for me in this, because I certainly had a moment where there was a fork in the road and it was like, principal, personality, principle, personality. And I was like, principle, personality, person, whoa. And then it was like, fortunately, I was interested enough in the solution to have a big discussion with my sponsor and had someone that cared enough about me, like that included me in his program enough to show me, and acceptance really, man, acceptance is 100% necessary for us inside these groups. Like, everybody is so different. Everybody's at such a different place. And we have to just have acceptance for where others are at. We have to have acceptance for their strengths or weaknesses. Like, Mikey said, we don't shoot our wounded. Man, if you relapse 10 times, I have acceptance for that being your journey and not like being like, man, he's never going to get it. I'm not going to give up on you. Like the 1 year cake I was at on Tuesday, man, that guy had been trying for 9 years for that 1 year. And the amount of people that were there to celebrate with him, it was record setting for a meeting in Oliver. Like, the cohesion to help Sean stay in his recovery was like, there was tears on every side of shares, man. And it's like, that is the program that I'm proud of. I've never been to like, I've seen a couple people like cry at weddings and shit, but I've never been to someone's birthday party where everybody talking. It's like, man, Andrew, happy fucking birthday! You're 42. Like, it just doesn't happen like that. And this was like people from their 30s to their fucking 70s crying for joy that this guy's still alive and finally got it. Like that's just power in the program, man. I'm going to leave it there. Mikey Droppa, number 2.
Mikey Droppa.
I just want to say, shout out, Sean. Congratulations on 1 year. If you see this, brother.
Yeah.
Let me see. How have the spiritual principles of open-mindedness and acceptance helped you expand your idea of inclusivity inside of the fellowship?
I didn't even answer your question at all. I got sidetracked.
That's what these questions do. It's about what you talk about, and it just fosters the communication. Man, I love you, man. I love you. For the amount of times that happens, I think that happens a lot more than we think, where we don't even answer the question. We just get off on this tangent, but that's why this thing is so magical. So, yeah, man, great question, Mikey. Open-mindedness, obviously we have to accept who we are. Self-acceptance comes before anything else, man. I'm not going to accept anybody for who they are or foster any kind of cohesive environment if I'm not accepted of myself. I'm going to be just out here running my mouth. And we are the kings of bullshit, man. You can't bullshit a bullshitter. So this is not the place if you want to come run your mouth about, lying and shit. But we're going to sniff that shit out really, really quick. Because you're not helping anybody. We talked about honest sharing, not lying allows our hearts to connect, right? We're gonna automatically snip that bullshit, be wondering why you're here. But again, it only takes a desire to be in these meetings to be here. Hopefully we get it figured out soon enough, right? That's why we got to just keep hanging there, right? Like hang in there with them. With that being said, open-mindedness, let me see, I had something written down here. I know for a fact what I try to do on the open-mindedness thing, and I really sink my head into the literature. Being open-mindedness and accepting yourself, I didn't know what those two things meant until I did some reading, right? So what I do, Mikey, is I really sink my head into the literature, man. A lot of people come to me with literature questions because they know that I've read it and I've read it and I've read it. And what that does is it allows me to, none of us are doctors here. And even if we are in these meetings, that's not our role here. We're not doctors. We're not therapists. We're not your probation officer. We're not anything like that. There are those in these meetings, but that is not their role here. They're not going to approach you as like, hey, I'm your doctor. I'm the doctor in these meetings, right? That's not our role here. So what reading this literature does is it gives me that accountability factor across the board. Somebody brand new in these meetings, hears me say something out of that literature, and they might hear Mikey hit on it later on in the meeting. They might hear somebody else hit on it. They might come back the next day and they hear us hit on it again. And what it does is it allows me to gain an accountability factor with the newcomer and with somebody that's got 50 years clean. You know, they're going to be singing from that same hymn book, and it's going to create cohesiveness, right? If we're all talking with that same lingo. And that's what it is, man. There's like a lingo when you come in these meetings. You hear it's like a certain way of talking. I can't even explain it to you. It's just a lingo that we have where we, you know, people who read this literature are able to bring wording from the literature in and relate it to their story, right? And then what that does is it allows somebody else who has that same story to go, man, I'm not alone. I'm not alone because I'm reading this literature that's for me, by me, about me, and I wrote it. And now I'm hearing this story from this individual that I want to be like, where they went through this war story and they turned their mess right into a message. And that's attractive to me. And so what I'm gonna do, right? I'm gonna be encouraged to go ask that person how they did it, Mikey. We talk about it all the time. People love talking about themselves. If you want what that person has and they've been through the same thing you've been through and they're clean, ask them how they did it. They'll help you. They'll probably grab your hand and take you step by step through that thing. That's what we talk about, sponsorship. So everything fosters from creating that cohesive and inclusive environment. All of the things that we do here stem from that. Because if somebody doesn't feel like they're included in what we're doing, they're not going to try to incorporate themselves into our group or into any group that we're talking about. You know, so we can't foster that by being hateful individuals. You know, we can't love ourselves into a version of ourselves that we love, right, Milan? We talk about that all the time. You have to love yourself. That comes with that self-acceptance, accepting of who you are, your pros, your cons, your good parts, your bad parts, and coming out here and putting it on paper.
It sounded like you said you can't love yourself into a virgin. And
you can't, I technically that's true. That's true. That's for another podcast.
I know.
Yeah, you can't.
I just was like,
oh man, damn. Yeah. So yeah, you cannot hate yourself into a version of yourself that you love. So I had to really come off that whole like woe is me when I got here. You know, and the only way I did that was individuals that were pumped up. Milan, you talked about how happy you are in meetings. Like that, it hurts my heart to that. But look, we've got to complain about something. As a human being, we either work too much or you don't work enough. You either make too much money, you don't make enough. You're either too happy, you're not happy enough. You know, you're either going to be depressed, so something's wrong with him, or he's too happy, something's wrong with him. So I think as human beings, and there's a human nature that we have to complain about something. It rains too much, doesn't rain enough.
I'd love to be remembered as the guy that was too happy for the rest of my life.
Exactly. Sign me up. I'd rather be on that lane. That's a much easier plate to be munching on than like you're just a depressed individual. Right. Yeah. You don't want to be known as the person that comes in using the literature as a weapon against themselves. Right. You don't want to be that person. You know, like try to find the love in the sentence. And so that's where, you know, being open-minded to other people's ideas, it fosters creativity, allows us to grow. So I'll pass that to you, Michael, or Mikey, I guess, or I guess
Mikey's
Milan.
Got to answer his own question.
That's right.
Come on, Reverend Mikey, drop off.
Oh my God, he called me Michael. That's terrible.
No, you call him Rev.
No, he said Michael. I heard it. He's going to my fourth step. Let me see here.
You can get it out now and do it quick 10.
Yeah, that's what Milan does.
Open-mindedness and acceptance, and how do I expand on that in the fellowship? You know, that's a good one because it's having that open mind, right? Like, so one of you guys touched on it before, because like it doesn't matter what or how much you used, who your connections were, how much or how little you have, what you've done in the past, regardless of age, race, sexual identity, creed, religion, or lack of religion, like that having that open mind that like we all belong here. If you found your way into these rooms, man, And I'm not going to tell anybody if they're an addict or not. I'm not going to tell anybody. That's an admission that has to be made for somebody. But man, when you come in here, it's just like, this is crazy because Andrew's sponsor actually said this a few days ago, and like when he said it, I've heard it a bunch of times, but like when he said it, I was like, man, we greet each other as if we're survivors of a near fatal catastrophe. And when it was said and the way it was put, I was like, God damn, that is so true. And I've heard it so many times because like I've been there too, right? And to have that open mind, um, and it's just like, hey man, you found your way, like welcome, right? And having that open mind to be able to allow that to happen is wild for me in and of itself. To have the acceptance that it might take somebody a little longer, because like you can come into meetings and you can be sharing and it's like, yo, motherfucker, like what is happening, right? To be able to accept you exactly, not only the self-acceptance piece, but to accept somebody exactly where they're at. That is something that was so fucking hard for me, because before I found any room of recovery or any program that has 12 steps, I was always the puppet master. And I was always like, if everybody just acted accordingly, um,
All
things
would
were
be right.
exactly, things were going to be okay. And to have that open mind and accept a lot of different things, it really helps me with that inclusivity piece. Because again, I'm going to be the first person, man. Like prayer to prayer, I respect and love everybody in the room, right? It just don't mean I don't got to go fuck with you out in the parking lot, right? Like, and a lot of times, man, it takes that environment. It takes all of that stuff to start to try and mend and build a relationship, because I've been it's crazy, right? Like you were talking about it before, like putting somebody's clean date in here, right? And like I had a sponsor that actually has Andrew's clean date. Different year, but same day. And I can tell you that I can't stand this motherfucker. I just can't, right? And I'm being honest. I'm being real with you boys right now, right? I just can't stand this dude. And it's funny the way my higher power and the God of my understanding operates, because I see that date and I fucking used to cringe. But now I see that date and I think of the love ambassador now, right? And I try and pray for that person. It's been a lot of struggles. This person was my sponsor. This person accused me of using in an open meeting before. Like, there's a lot of things that happened in that situation that I don't know that I'm ever really going to be able to let go of a lot of that stuff. But for me, right, like have that open mind to think like, all right, at least he's consistently a dickhead. I could start to get with some acceptance of that part, right? And like, um, it's okay, man. It's okay that sometimes, man, there's a lot of things that I can't look past, but shut the door on that, right? I don't shut the door on that, because the God of my understanding has truly worked some miracles in my life that I can't explain. And when I keep that open mind, I can look for other stuff. And he puts other people in my life that just might have the same fucking clean date. And now it's like, okay. And it's the little things like that. It might sound silly to everybody else, but when I'm aware and I'm open to everything around me, and I have that acceptance piece, like I might get some answers that like I didn't think were coming, or I get the answer like I didn't know that it was going to come in this form, or any of that. When I can keep that open mind, man, shit seems to work out, fellas. Shit just seems to work out.
Love that, man.
I love that. Hey, I love
you,
you
Mikey.
there, Reverend Mikey Droppa. Okay, I got a question for you, Andrew. The power of our message comes through the unity and cohesion of our groups. The group is the most effective means of carrying the message, but it can't do that without caring and committed members. A group carries the message by creating an atmosphere of recovery. What do you personally do to create an atmosphere of recovery?
Man, well, I try to, I love everybody. I love everybody, man. I don't like everybody, but I love everybody. Genuinely, I love everybody. Um, when people come in these rooms and, we have business meetings, which, you got traditions. You have business meetings and we create, a plan for these meetings, right? Whether it's the way our slides go for our presentations into the meetings, whatever it is. um Bringing that love to everything that I do. Like I said, people know what to expect when I show up. Creating unity, um and fostering that open-minded and creativity. Being able to meet people where they're at, right, and understand that if we're going to come to a decision, there's going to be a vote on it most of the time, and if the vote doesn't go my way, like, because I'm doing a lot of reading in this literature, I'm going to understand why that vote probably didn't go my way. And the traditions reign true, and they reign strong in these meetings and in this 12-step fellowship. So when I'm able to put my ego and my pride down and step back a little bit and see people for why they're coming at me a certain way, or maybe they have an idea that I don't agree with, I'm gonna back up a little bit and maybe try to talk to them a little bit, or talk to somebody around them that might, or somebody around me that might be able to shine some light on why they're coming at me a different way than I maybe thought it would be. Um, and then it allows me to foster creativity and build stronger relationships. It allows me to take my values and share it with theirs, right? And link up and mesh my values with theirs. And it's about collaboration. When we do foster the creativity and the inclusivity, it leads to increased productivity, right? It's how these meetings get bigger and bigger as we create an atmosphere where everybody feels a part of. We have speaker meetings, right? We keep it moving. We keep it enthusiastic, right? We keep it, we change it up, right? We keep it changing up. We don't want the same shit over and over and over. We want to keep it moving. The disease cannot hit a moving target. So, um, you think about like sports teams, they got to create that cohesive environment. They do community service commitments with each other, and that's kind of what we're doing, man. We're doing these things. We do speaker jams you know, uh, on Christmas, on New Year's, on all these big New Year's Eves, and all these times where we're going to be out there drinking and drugging, man. We throw speaker jams so we stay clean during the New Year's, and all these times where a lot of us will be out there partying. So it's just about keeping it moving, meeting people where they're at, taking their ideas and being able to bring it in as part of the group is very, very important. Because if not, man, we're not going to foster any kind of valuable, like we're not going to make anybody feel valued in here if we're just dismissing everything that they come in here saying. So yeah, man, principles before personalities. Diversity is our strength. Bring it. If you got a brain and a higher power, we need you. We need you. So I'll pass that to you, Mikey.
Woo! Hey, yo! Mikey, you want the question repeated?
Oh, I'm gonna need that long ass motherfucker repeated, sir.
Okay, close your eyes. I'll take you on a mystical journey of recovery. The power of our message comes through the unity and cohesion of our groups. The group is the most effective means of carrying the message, but it can't do that without caring and committed members. A group carries the message by creating an atmosphere of recovery. What do you do personally to create an atmosphere of recovery?
Wow, I like this one because I really didn't know about an atmosphere of recovery until I started to get involved in the fellowships and get involved in service because man, it's I used to be that dude that would fucking blurt out laughing, or I would say some shit during somebody's share and crosstalk because I didn't know any better. And a lot of it was to do with the environment in which I was in, where it was kind of not frowned upon. And then I got involved in service, and I started to see that um, it's it's a lot bigger than just me being able to crack a joke. It's a lot bigger than just me being able to make you laugh. It's a lot bigger than all that. So today, man, I just try and show up and be present, and you know, just be there. Just be there. Like um there's many forms of service, and one of those is for me is to just be able to show up for recovery, and even if I just read a reading and don't open my mouth the rest of the meeting, or even if I just come into it and I just sit down, um being able to foster that atmosphere of recovery is it's huge, man, because it's not always about having to be heard today. I don't always have to be right. I don't always have to put my hand up and try and be slick in a share or any of that stuff, man. Just being there and being present is a huge piece of it all, man, because um I was taught a long time ago that like you guys can or I can't have a meeting without y'all, but you guys can have a meeting without me. So it's important that I try and come in there and you know, just be present. And don't get me wrong, like even last night there was something going on in the meeting where somebody mentioned something funny, and I chimed in a couple times during my share, but I don't do it with a malicious intent, because I think laughter is good for the soul. And I think it's important that we can come in here and we can have this good time, and not take I don't have to take myself so seriously, but just being there and being a part of, and kind of um, putting my influence on it, if you will, as the love ambassador put it, right? Because, I've been to groups where, man, when I was living in Tennessee and I was going to groups, we'd be doing the readings and they'd be blurting out all this stuff and all these chants and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is going on in here? And I remember calling my sponsor and being like, what the fuck are they doing? And he was just like, what do you mean? Like that, does that really bother you that much? And I'm like, well, what, like, it's like a mockery. And he's like, maybe you're there to kind of lead by example. And I'm not going to change everything. I'm just not going to, but like put it into perspective, like pump your brakes, Mikey, just pump your brakes. Right. Like that fourth tradition it's a beautiful thing, because that group autonomy, and you're not bigger than that group, and you're not going to come in here and you're not going to do any of those things. And I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. Right. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. This thing has been working for decades and decades and decades before I even got here. And I just got to remember, man, like just sit down, be present, just be honest, man. Just be honest. And I could just be a part of. I don't have to open my mouth. I don't have to make a spectacle. I don't have to do any of that today. Just being there is one of the most beautiful pieces of it, because to foster an atmosphere of recovery, man, you just got to be present, right? You just got to be present. It's that simple for me, man, because the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop, right?
Ding
That's it.
ding ding.
That's it, man. So even if I walk into a meeting like the first meeting I was at, and I didn't know what was happening, and I saw all these things on the wall, and some of them say the G word, and I'm like, nope, we're not doing any of those. Like, just give yourself a break, man. Just give yourself a break, right? And yeah, man, it's as simple as just walking into a meeting, giving out a few hugs, saying a few hellos, sitting down in a chair, and just listening. That's the simplest thing for me to be able to foster an atmosphere of recovery. And then obviously behind that comes all the stuff when you get comfortable. And there's many forms of service, and one of my favorite forms is sharing. But you know, um, that's a whole broad spectrum, and we can go down 75 different avenues. And I really like this question. So I'm gonna go for I'm gonna pass this to, what is that, spiritual sidetrack? Star Trek?
Yeah.
He said Star Trek.
Starcic's my last name.
That's so funny. That's all.
Yeah, so spiritual sidetrack Starcic here. What do I do to create an atmosphere of recovery? You know, I I always come back to this, man, but that sign in my treatment center that said that what you focus on becomes greater. And, I focus a lot of my life on recovery, whether it's through song, whether it's through my program, whether it's here today, whether it's going to the meetings that I go to, whether it's my service work with my sponsees or my amazing times with my sponsor. I think the very first thing I do is live recovery. And I know from having children, man, you can't teach someone by not leading by example. And it's ultimately I stay straight. I stay straight. I work on myself. I make mistakes and I learn from those mistakes. And a big part of that for me is I'm cautious when I share that there might be mess involved, but there's a message about what I'm trying to do involved with the program to work on that mess. We're not coming together for a trauma dump. It's not like, hey, everybody, puke up your problems in a circle and don't talk about a solution. That is not recovery to me. That's like stagnation, pity party central. And what I'm looking for is that maybe today somebody gets a glimmer of some solution for themselves from what I've said, and I get that from them. The beauty of this program, and I say my things over and over because they work in my life, is I don't have to invent the wheel to like driving a car. And I certainly didn't invent the recovery wheel. And I certainly didn't invent new ways of thinking for my brain when my way of thinking was let's go to death. Here we are, and I'm alive, and I'm happier, and I'm working on myself, and I'm learning stuff every single day from other people. So, I think it's trying to set the best example I can of growth and recovery is the way that I create an atmosphere of recovery by saying, hey, when I walked into that treatment center and there was those 7 people that had been there 4 to 6 weeks before me, and they're sitting there and they're working on their steps, and and they're all whatever, step 4 to beyond. And I'm like, oh, that's what you do. You work on steps really hard and don't fuck around. Well, guess what? That's what I learned and that's what I did. And why? Because that was my example. And I think that's the best way that we're ever going to, foster any atmosphere is through example. We create it with our actions.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to lead by example. You got to lead by example. And you hit on that before, and that's a great point, Milan, is that with children especially, they'll teach you a lot about that, because you cannot, it's not do as I say, not as I do, because they're watching everything you do.
Yep.
Way before you say anything about it.
Little sponges.
Little sponges, whether that's negative or positive. So you got to really be mindful in that part of it. So, all right, Mikey, are you ready? I'm going to ask you a question. This is a deep question, guys. This is like a Milan type question.
Like waist deep or shoulder deep?
This is waist deep. So get your thinking hats on. You ready? What do we gain from belonging? What is the cost of belonging, and in which currencies do we pay it in? Can you endlessly belong, or is there a limit on how long you can belong for, or how many things you can belong to? Must you contribute to truly belong, or is it okay to simply sit or consume? I'll say it again. What do we gain from belonging? What's the cost in belonging? In which currencies do we pay it in? can you endlessly belong, or is there a limit to how long we can belong for, or how many things we can belong to? Must you contribute to truly belong, or is it simply okay to sit or consume?
It's a lot of belonging. Wow. That's a really good one, man, because can I endlessly belong? That all depends on my spiritual fitness, I would think, because some days I feel like I belong, and then there's other days where my disease is a lot louder than that recovery voice, man, and it'll try and bark me right out of a room, right out of a meeting, right out of life, right? And I really like this question. It definitely makes me put my little thinking cap on, because
Yes.
when I got here, man, I wasn't sure that I belonged, right? Because I started to compare, and I had this model idea of what an addict was supposed to be. And you know, I saw all these things, and I heard all these people, and I wasn't so sure that, like, this was the end all be all for me. And what currencies did I use? uh Definitely my time, definitely a lot of um self-preservation, if you will, because I had to hang on to this idea of this whole other fantasy that I built up in my head of the person that I thought I was. Because the truth of the matter was, man, I had no idea who I was when I found the rooms of where I go to, right? I had no idea. I had no idea, man. I say this part all the time, man. Mikey, what's your favorite color? I don't know. What's yours? Mikey, what do you like to do? I don't know. What do you like to do? Right? Like, I had no idea. And that belonging part, man, like, when it was finally like a bunch of people after a meeting, and I don't say finally like it took forever, but probably one of the first times that it happened, hey, we're going to get something to eat. Like, oh, I can't, I got no money, I can't go do that. We didn't ask you for your money. Can you come with us? And like, just the generosity of people, and it was just finally when I was able to peel back all of what I thought their motives were. All they wanted was just me to be present, right? That's it. They literally just wanted me to be present. And that really started to open my eyes to a lot of things that this fellowship teaches me, man, because finally I felt like I belonged somewhere, right? I talk about that all the time. The first meeting I ever went to, like, the black sheep came home, right? And when I was able to just kind of let all that stuff down and just finally be a part of, like, listen, man, y'all ain't getting rid of me. Andrew talked about it before, right? Like, when I found Meeting Makers, which is my home group now, like, I was just so drawn in by the genuine connection and love and just rah rah recovery, because, like, I need to surround myself with people that are enthusiastic about this thing, because there's days where I'll wake up, like, check it out, man. I had a challenging ass day yesterday, right? I had a challenging ass day yesterday. I woke up, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. The disease was really loud in my brain. And, you know, uh, I was feeling some type of way for the first time in quite some time, man. And like, autopilot brings me to where I go in recovery, right? I'm so grateful for that, because like that sense of belonging, and I know in my heart of hearts, I know that the fellowship that I attend was designed for me to find it. I know in my heart of hearts that's where I belong. And I wouldn't have had that if it wasn't for the other members that practice that cohesion and inclusivity we're talking about today, right, man? Because when I found Meeting Makers, man, they're all fucking rah rah. I love fucking clean time. I love that shit. You hear Andrew in there daring people to come back. And like that type of shit is just attractive to me, right? And like he said, man, like I came in there and I was like, man, I gotta go back. And then I started to tell my people, like, yo, like we should go check this place out. And now they just can't get rid of me, right? They can't get rid of me. And I love that part because shortly after I made it my home group, and shortly after I went to the first business meeting and they roped me into it, and now I get to be of service in that meeting, and it's a beautiful fucking thing because like it's a place that I belong. And now, man, like endlessly belonging, I think I can get with that. You know, it just depends on my spiritual fitness. Just depends on my spiritual fitness because I am not exempt from my disease trying to get me to walk out the door. I'm just not exempt from it. I can have all these steps, read all this literature, spit all this lingo, talk all that good shit. And at the end of the day, my disease is not impressed. And it'll try and find its way in wherever it can and try and just fucking kick my ass straight out the door. Not today, Satan. Not today, right? Because I surround myself with people that you know, they won't have it. And I'm grateful for that because I found a place where I belong. And they think I belong there too. That's the catch 22 and all of that. It's not always about do I think I belong. It's I come in here and I be honest and people get to know me, right? I found out my favorite color is red. I found out I really like to play golf. I find out all these other things and I come in here and I get honest and like people start to get to know me. And it's important because you know, I might not even realize it and somebody sees a facial expression or somebody hears it in my voice and they're like, yo, what's going on with you? And that's all I need. That's all I need is once somebody acknowledges it, I'm like, you know what? I am feeling kind of fucking funky today. And that's just a beautiful part of it, man. I don't know if I answered your question,
Bro,
but
that was
I
perfect. I'm
belong.
so glad I asked that question. I wasn't gonna ask this question, but what the response you brought out in you is the reason why we asked these crazy questions. Because that was beautiful, Mikey. That was perfect. You hit on a lot of things that really drove home with me. So I love that. I love you. All right, Milan, are you
Okay.
ready?
So I want to do one thing. I just looked up belonging for my own personal sake to make sure I wasn't going to screw it up. So I'm going to read out what I found for the definition of belonging, and I want you to ask each question, and I'll bullet answer it.
Okay.
We'll do
That's
like
cool.
a rapid fire round. Okay, so
That's cool. Yep.
belonging is not about fitting in, but about being accepted, loved, and respected for who we are. When we belong, we feel included, we feel connected, and we can flourish as we can be ourselves without fear of judgment. We belong when no one makes us feel like an outsider. And
This is cool.
I thought that, okay, here we go.
Ready? So the first question, what do we gain from belonging?
We gain a community. We gain love, acceptance, and respect.
Mm-hmm. And what is the cost of belonging, and in which currencies do we pay it in?
Oh, well, the cost of belonging is acceptance, love, and respect for others. Okay. And we pay in the currency of acting out in spiritual principles towards a community.
I love it. I love it. And can you endlessly belong, or is there a limit to how long you can belong for, or how many things you can belong to?
Well, unfortunately, I have the infinite super soaker of love, acceptance, and respect, and I'm prepared to offer that as long as this physical form stays alive. So maybe not to infinity, but it's like, I at least probably got another 50 years.
Bet. All right. And must you contribute to truly belong, or is it okay to simply sit or consume?
Those feelings I truly believe must be reciprocated. Love, respect, and acceptance, or that I think that the community will have an imbalance and eventually it'll erode some of the cohesion and inclusivity in the community.
I love it. Do you want to expound on that a little bit, or are you good with that?
I think I'm good with that. I think that was perfect for me. because I would never have remembered the second question by the time I answered the first. I'm like, man, I gotta break this shit down. I gotta break it down.
So we come at Milan with one of his type questions. And he's like, he has to break it down a whole different way because look, it's hard to remember all those questions and shit in there, isn't it? Man?
I can't even remember the start of the sentence at the end.
So what is the price of it? That's so funny. So what's the price we pay? What do we gain from belonging? Well, we gain everything, man. That sense of belonging. And I equate it to my healthy self now in recovery. So for the past 3 years, my new sense of belonging and my new sense of identity, which is directly tied to this program. You know, it's got me my God back. You know, I have a God of my understanding that talks back today, man. And I used to throw up that foxhole prayer all the time to get me out of trouble. You know, if I had drugs in the car, I'd be like, you know, please God, hope that cop doesn't pull me over. You know, get me out of jail. Let me win the lottery. You know, all those crazy prayers that we prayed back in the day. That's not what prayer is about.
Nope.
That's not what prayer is about, man. You know, and my sponsor has taught me what and how and who to pray for, and it's been an amazing journey, this prayer piece, man, because I've learned this is a program of surrender, not self-improvement. We're gonna hit on it all the time. I'm not here to look, the self-improvement piece is gonna come, but I gotta out surrender this thing. And me praying has allowed me to be to be a more surrenderable individual, right? I have to understand that I'm not here to work on the 150 things that I think is wrong with me. I'm here to surrender to the God of my understanding, man, and turn that shit over, and to take every situation I come into every day and apply steps 1, 2, and 3 to it. I identify the problem. Step 1, I surrender. So I surrender. I identify the problem and I turn it over. 1, 2, and 3. And so that's what being a part of and belonging to a group has taught me. Y'all have told me these things that I've been able to incorporate into my life. And if y'all didn't tell me these things, I wouldn't be able to incorporate them. So the cost of belonging is just my old way of living. That's the cost. You know, my old way of living was the cost of belonging to this new way of life. You know what I mean? I have been able to trim the fat that has been holding me down for so long, man, and all these chemical dependencies and this artificial means to gain my spiritual experience that I'm looking for. We're all born spiritual beings, Mikey. That's what my literature tells me. And so I'm trying to gain some kind of spiritual experience. And so I have a practical means now. I have these books. I've got a practical means to get there. It's an open book test. You know, it's the hardest open book test we're going to take, but it is an open book test. All the information is there. If you got a question about yourself, go read it in the literature. It's there. It's there. And so can you endlessly belong, or is there a limit to how long you can belong for, how many things you can belong to? No, man. Look, you say you're a home group member when you say you are, right? You only need a desire to stop using to come in here. If you're high in our meetings, we need you. We love you. That's the first step to this thing. Right? That's the first fucking step. If you're in our meetings high every single day, you show a willingness unlike anybody else, man. The fact that you are coming back to our meetings, something is bringing you here. You got to listen to whatever that little thing that brought you back to this meeting, regardless of if you're high or not. Latch on to that thing. Latch onto that thing. And being and feeling a part of has allowed me to do that. It allows me to show that that's okay to do that, right? I see other people that are doing that and they're getting better in their lives, and it's allowed me to follow in those footsteps, right? It's the only, you know, it's the least I can do for myself, right? Y'all put a lot of time and effort into praying me into these rooms. The least I can do is take a couple suggestions when I get here, because I want to be better for myself. You know, that sense of belonging gave me it gave me a sense of life again. It gave me a sense of life, a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning. You know what I mean? I you know, when you're up, your friends know who you are. When you're down, you know who your friends are. You with me? When you're up, your friends know who you are. When you're down, you know who your friends are. Right? You know who your friends are. And that's who I stay surrounded by, people who will call me on my bullshit. It's not about filing in line with my point of view today. It's about keeping me alive. It's about keeping me alive. That's a big difference in being like, hey, I'm going to follow him because why? Because social things are telling me that I need to follow in line with that dude. No, man. If that guy has something you want, you know, a family, a job that he's had for 5 years. Go ask him how he did it. He'll tell you. He'll tell you. And so that's why I surround myself with these kind of people. I'm looking at the last part of this question here so I can end out here. Sorry, I have it closed. What is it? So must I contribute to truly belong, or is it simply to sit, or is it simply okay to sit and or consume? That's a great question to end it on. When I got here, I didn't have to contribute anything to belong. And you hit on that, Mikey. I felt that sense of belonging from day one. But now I got to do a little work on myself, right, Mikey? And that includes contributing, right, to the well-being of myself, which contributes to the well-being of the group. If I come on here and I share honestly, honest sharing, you know, promoting honesty. You hit on honesty earlier, Mikey. Honest sharing is the antidote to our diseased thinking. So if I come in here and I'm just honest with the group and myself, I'm contributing. Because they're hearing what I'm going through and the point that I'm going through. And we're all where we need to be right now. Like where you are, Milan, right now, where you are, Mikey, is exactly where y'all need to be, or this wouldn't be working right now. You know, if y'all were fighting against where y'all are right now, we wouldn't be able to be doing this right now. So it's being able to lean into that, right? I take these situations and I accept the situation as it is, and then I act. You know what I mean? I don't act unaccordingly like an asshole and then try to accept the situation after I've acted unaccordingly. You know what I mean? I accept the situation as it is, as if I had willed it to be that way. And then I act. You know, somebody told me a long time ago, Andrew, if you want to fly and recover, if you want to fly in this thing, you got to take all those weights that are weighing you down. You got to take them off. You got to take those weights down, those chains that are keeping you held down. You know what I mean? And if you don't keep it moving, Andrew, if you don't keep it moving, you're not going to hear the chains that are holding you down, man. If you're just sitting there, those chains that are wrapped around your ankles, you're not going to hear them moving. You're not going to be able to take them off and be free. So that's something that somebody told me a long time ago that really stuck with me is I keep it moving. I keep it enthusiastic. Being a part of a group and belonging to it and having that sense of belonging allows me to have a natural want to be here and want to do something for the group. And it gives me an accountability factor with you guys, man. You know, belonging, a sense of belonging, man. It's like my new gang, my new clean gang. Love you guys, man. I'll pass that to Mikey for another question round.
Oh, well, I got a list here and I'm looking at it, and I'd be doing myself a disservice if I don't see a question that involves humility. How does humility play a role in creating cohesion?
Humility is essentially the ability to put our ego aside and actually honestly see how we're acting and what the real situation is. And I think that with humility, it opens the door for our compassion and tolerance to be able to come about, because we can accurately assess, you know, when it's us who's acting in a sick way or someone else. And without that humility, you know, you're going to come from that place of ego. And I think that that's going to basically cripple your perception and distort it enough that you're never ever going to have that like that real honest perspective, you know. And you know, we have to go and humbly realize that we're not more important than the group.
That's right.
You know, and that's kind of, you know, you see it all over the place, but that's the foundation of keeping these groups together. Like, we're no less important than the group, but we're not more important, because without the group, we're dead. And that's the entire fundamental premise of a lot of the traditions, right? I'm going to leave that there because I love you.
I love it. Ask me, Mikey. Sorry.
How does humility play a role in creating cohesion?
Love it. So, Humility. It's about obviously I'm not it. I don't got all the answers. So it's about recognizing my strengths and my weaknesses and what I have to bring to the table. Um, and how often do I seek help from others? When do I feel the most inclined to boast or compare myself to others? It's about leaving all that shit at the table, man. I gotta foster, humility is coming to the table, knowing that I can meet people where they're at. I can take their suggestions, and then I can make an informed decision going forward. But I gotta recognize my strengths and weaknesses first. Do I focus more on accomplishments or the contributions of others, right? Am I saying something to get a rise out of them, or am I saying something out of pure love and compassion? You've hit on that before, Mikey. Am I saying this thing to get a response, or am I saying something from pure love and compassion? But seeking help and collaboration, dealing with mistakes and failures. How do I respond when I make a mistake? I can't get down on myself when I make a mistake, Mikey. If I make a mistake and then I blow the fucking shit up, what does that show about my program? If I'm working an honest program and I'm making mistakes, I'm understanding that my mistakes are coming because I'm trying a new way of life, right? So I can't get down on myself. I'm just trying something new. Mistakes are going to happen when you go out there and you try something new. And it just shows that that I'm trying, right? And then what I have to do is recognize that those mistakes, and if something's not made for me, that God's got something on the other side of it for me. And so I can't blow the thing up, man. I got to keep moving forward. I got to keep that upward trajectory. I got to keep that healthy way of living going, because I know if I keep doing that, that's something on the other side of that mistake or that lost opportunity is meant for me. I went from and then I'm going to quote White Buffalo. I went from a human doing to a human being to a spiritual being. And so I'm spiritual today, man. If it's not practical, it's not spiritual. If it's not practical, it's not spiritual. If I got to outthink why I'm doing something, if I catch myself like sitting down thinking about something, or I gotta go take a minute out to go think about it, chances are I don't need to be doing that thing. If I gotta try to talk myself into doing it, something's keeping me from naturally wanting to go do that thing. So I gotta visit that. And I also have to visit the people who I keep close to me. You two are one of them. If y'all come to me with something that you think I'm doing and you're like, bro, what are you doing? Or you come to me like I'm acting sideways on something, I have to step back and revisit that. Now, anybody in the world can't come to me with something like that and then me do that with. I have to understand that it doesn't matter what everybody says, but the people who I love and I keep close to me, if they say something to me, I have to revisit that. It's part of me continuing to be healthy and me remaining teachable and remaining humble. I used to disregard everything that everybody said. You come at me with something or tried to help me out, I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I don't need your help. It is a strength to be able to accept help from somebody, man, and put that pride and ego. What is pride doing? Pride is one of the primary reasons I die early. And ego edges God out, man. It's edging God out every time. It doesn't allow me to stay spiritual. Which allows me to stay humble because I'm not it, man. I'm not it. I realized a long time ago I'm not it. I came in here. This is the last house on the block for me, and y'all told me to sit down and shut the fuck up and listen to learn and learn to listen. That's what I did. But I got to step letting go of what other people done to me and let other people who are at war with themselves bring me down, man. Bring me down. But the people who are important to me, I really value what y'all say to me, and I take everything y'all say to me into consideration. It's very important to me, the important people in my lives, what they say to me. You know what I mean? Like I said, when you're up, your friends know who you are. When you're down, you know who your friends are. They'll pick you up. So surround yourself with important, like-minded individuals, and you're going to be okay in this thing. They're going to keep you right when you need. I'll pass that back to you, Mikey, to answer your own question.
That is exactly why I say all the time, I surround myself with people whom I give spiritual consent to hurt my feelings.
I love that.
All right. Let me see here. how does humility play a role in creating cohesion, right? And when I got this topic, man, like I said, man, I know cohesion in a scientific manner, and it's just the action or fact of forming a united whole, right? And then I looked at what is the simple definition. If you're a group of friends that are heading to the lunchroom as a team and sits all together, you're demonstrating strong cohesion. How does humility factor in that? There is no big I's or little U's around this place, right? And I need to be able to get with that humility piece, man. Like we did that the first podcast I was ever on, and I asked everybody's, what's your favorite spiritual principle other than unconditional love? And mine is definitely humility, because I come equipped with this giant ego that tells me like I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. It also tells me that like I'm the worst thing in the room, right? And I always say this when I talk about humility. It's not always about coming down, it's about coming up too. So how does that play a role in cohesion or cohesion for me is I get to just wipe that all away and just be present. I get to be in the moment. I get to be with my fellow peers, and being able to form that, and being able to let go of all the things that swirl in my brain, that like I'll easily scoff at somebody, like Andrew just touched on it, man. Like I got to remember that like I don't give everybody spiritual consent to hurt my feelings. That doesn't mean nobody else is going to hurt my feelings, right? And even in those moments, those are some of the times where I'm like, well, hold on, man. Like maybe do we got to take a look at that? But I don't let it consume me, right? I might take that and I might go call Andrew and be like, yo, I'm feeling funky. This person said this, or, like it don't even matter
He
about
did it
who
last
said
night.
it.
He did it last night in our home group. He's like, hey man.
Yeah.
He's like, just back me up a little bit if I need. Perfect. It was beautiful.
So it's important for me, man, because like I'm no better than anybody. I'm no worse than anybody, right? Like that humility piece it's huge, because I'll take that shit and run with it. I'll go sit on my high horse and cast stone to judgment everywhere. And like I don't need to live like that today. I just don't need to, man. It's it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. That's what I was taught, right? And like, I don't have to fake that
I
shit.
love
I
that.
don't have to fake that shit either, right? I don't have to. And when I can get with a little bit of humility and level the playing field, like it's been done so many times for me with my sponsors, or even people that are just in my close network, it helps me because it removes Mikey from the situation. That's what these steps are doing, man. Teaches me to remove Mikey from the situation a little more and a little more and a little more, because I complicate everything, and I'll ruin everything, man. I'll ruin a wet dream if you let me, right? And it's just the truth, man. Like, I need to remember to just stay right side, right? And even in that humility piece, right? Like it doesn't just necessarily mean for me, because it allows me to meet people exactly where they are, right? Because like we're not all sick at the same time, right? We're just not. And sometimes I'm that sick person. And Milan and Andrew, you guys might be the people that are spiritually fit that day. And it allows me to remember that, like, yo, man, you just have a daily reprieve from this thing, right? And I'm just gonna say it again. I am not exempt from having a challenging day. I say challenging day because I had to learn to speak to myself a little differently. And I did that with a little bit of humility, because I label everything good and bad, right? I choose what's good and I choose what's bad. So today, man, it's either okay or it's challenging, right? And a lot of people, when they'll ask me like, "How's your day?" and I'll say, "I'm having an okay day," and they're like, "Just okay?" I don't need to ask for anything else better than okay, right? I just don't need to, because it keeps it right sized for me. And that's important for me to have that humility, because like I can show up for people exactly where I'm at. They can show up for me exactly where they're at. And like I said it before, man. If it don't apply, I let it fly. I don't have to overanalyze everything all the time. Listen, I still do it sometimes. I still do. But when I can keep in that humility piece, man, things just seem to work out a lot better in my favor. Maybe I shouldn't say my favor, just in favor of this thing we call life. Because for me, and this is just for me, right? It's not always about moving forward. Sometimes I can take a step back and be a passive observer in a situation. I don't always have to act immediately. Sometimes I need to stop, assess a situation, talk to some people, and then choose the course of action we're going to take, right? And I have to do that a lot with the God of my understanding. And a lot of the times, man, I involve the people around me that I give that spiritual consent to help me grow. And yeah, man, humility is always going to be that important piece, because once I can remind myself to just get the fuck out of the way, Mikey. Things just seem to work out a lot better, man, because first thought, not always wrong. 95% of the time it's wrong, though. And I'm okay with admitting that today, because there's this little scared kid on the inside, this tiny little tyrant toddler on the inside that drives the fucking car. And I got to remember that sometimes, man, we don't got to give him the wheel all the time. We just don't.
I love that. I want to see what you think about this. Never take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from. Think about it like that. Never take criticism from someone you won't take advice from. So,
boom. Okay, so I've got a few minutes here, and then I got to roll to work. I'm going to ask a question. It's going to be a timer. This is pure lightning round, Andrew.
Boom,
okay.
boom, boom.
Okay. It may be useful to have a conversation about how the group can be more inclusive, but sometimes the question of who's missing our meetings is one we can't easily answer ourselves. How we can assess how welcoming we are if we pay attention to whether newcomers come back. Are we ourselves creating an atmosphere to come back to? Go, Andrew.
Absolutely, I am. Absolutely, I am. I try to create a peaceful environment. As an addict, we don't know what peace is. It's an unfamiliar piece for us. So I have to lean into that unfamiliar piece and not that familiar chaos. So I try to create a peaceful environment. Peace is very important to me. A loving, peaceful environment. Fear does not stop death. It stops life. Fear ain't going to stop anything. Nothing's going to stop death, but fear stops life. So don't be fearful to come in here. We create peace. If it costs me my peace today, it's too expensive. I'm going to be on that trip for a while. If it costs me my peace, it's too expensive. And time is the only currency we spend without ever knowing the ending balance, guys. So don't bring that black card of time out, spending that shit like you got it all day, because you don't. We never know when we're going to, that time thing ends. So in that case, I love you guys. I love. I'm going to say it for I love.
Whoa, the ambassador of love. Okie dokie. So, Mr. Mikey, are we ourselves creating an atmosphere to come back to?
Absolutely. This is what saves my life on a daily basis, and I got to try and remember that. Like, I know what attracted me to this thing when I first got here, and I try and emulate that. And I don't do that in a fake way either, because it's my own brand. It's the way I interpret. It's the way I perceive. And I got to remember that it's not about just me, right? It's about the next person. It's about the people that haven't found us yet. It's about the addicts that haven't even been born into this world, that we can foster that environment. And I try and be as welcoming and as loving and as caring as I possibly can be. And that's what this thing is about, man. That's what this thing is about. Just that unconditional love is the most important spiritual principle. And I love every single one of y'all.
Love you, Mikey.
You
love you, Mikey.
And Milan, are we ourselves creating an atmosphere to come back to? You're heck right we are. I love people coming. I love the people at the meetings, and I'm smothering them with love and acceptance. In fact, I create a sphere of it around me, and once you're inside, you can't help but feel love and acceptance. That's right.
Can't break out.
That's
Can't
right.
break out.
It's like my bubble. It's got no trouble. And so what I want to say is that I try to encourage everybody. I congratulate everybody on the miracle that they are for getting there. And, and I don't sugarcoat it. I'm like, it's work. And if people are sitting there grumbling about there being no results in it, you got to put in some time to save your life. It's like climbing that rope out of the mud pit, man. That rope is your brain changing with love. And I'm going to be here to help prop you up. I love you all.
Hey, you can't have a new reality with the old mentality. And remember, it's okay to live a life most people don't understand, bro. And look, no risk, no story. Come on, let's go.
I say this all the time, Milan. I say this all the time. I don't sugarcoat shit because I'm fat and I might eat that too. Got to keep it real.
Get me some.
Dude,
love you, bro.
I love you guys. You know what? Tune in next episode
Yeah,
for more
later,
recovery
guys.
fun.
Love y'all.
Guess what? We love you guys. Bye-bye. Please help us help others. If you've liked what you've seen here today, please subscribe and share this podcast and help us get to 100 followers. We're looking for interaction with our audience. So please email recoveryfreedomrising@gmail.com or contact Milan South Okanagan Starcic on Facebook with questions, topic suggestions, or just comments. We'd love to hear from you.